You know, one of the worst things of this orange bastard, this Donald Trump, one of the worst things that he is perpetrating against the American public is his continuing insistence that he has a right to see that people die from COVID-19, which is exactly what he is exercising. His right to condemn Americans to death. It's unbelievable that this is not fully understood by every single American. I look at some of these conglomerations, I can't think of the proper word, of people who come together for his rallies. And I wonder what the hell they're thinking. Are they all just the stupidest human beings available within the area from which Trump is drawing his audience that particular night? The latest example is Wisconsin. Now, there is a pair of campaign rallies that the orange son of a bitch has scheduled for this Saturday coming. Because, you know, Wisconsin is a key swing state. And more important than that is the fact that Donald Trump needs to have this virtual fellation as often as he can get it. And that's what these crowds provide for him. You don't think so? Take a look at his face when he walks out on these stages with people shrieking and hollering with their little dumb shit-looking red hats on. And tell me if you don't think that Trump is feeling something very akin to sexual gratification. He is. But the governor of Wisconsin, has practically begged the orange bastard to cancel these two rallies scheduled for Saturday. Why? Because Wisconsin all of a sudden has a 22% surge in new coronavirus cases over the last week. Now, Wisconsin's not alone. The increasing infections in that state are part of a national trend now of rising cases playing out because we apparently are the dumbest goddamn bipedal creatures ever to walk the earth. We Americans. We refuse. Oh, not you. I know not you, and certainly not me, and not your family and friends, and certainly not my family and friends, but there are enough Americans who have bought into this politicization of mask wearing that the orange son of a bitch has promulgated because, you know, he's got to maintain the image of everything's okay, everything's all right. What are you talking about? 210,000 people dead? Ah, well, to heck with them. They don't mean anything. Those of us who are wearing masks, which I believe is the majority of people in this country, we are still at risk because as long as these super spreader events that this orange son of a bitch puts together to assuage his ego, as long as they continue to happen, this virus is going to continue to circulate among the general population. Remember the story of Typhoid Mary, the woman who had typhus bacteria and worked, what does she work, as a cook or something? And she infected so many millions or hundreds of thousands of people and so many people who died. You remember that story, right? Typhoid Mary? Now we have coronavirus Trump. Anyway, Trump is desperately searching for votes. And that search is going to take him to airport hangars. You know, he talks about his outside rallies. An airport hangar is not outside. But he's going to go to Green Bay and La Crosse on Saturday, where thousands of people, and most of them are not going to be wearing masks. if you look at the recent rallies, except that select group of morons who are assembled to sit in the bleachers behind him, to make good for the media that he hates, to make good for the cameras. Those people will be wearing masks. Why? Because standing in front of them as they hoot and holler and scream and issue out their animal-like noises about this beast talking in front of them, they will be projecting their spittle and their volumes of breath toward him if they weren't wearing masks. So the Trump campaign insists that the people who are selected for that special place put on a goddamn mask. What, do you want to infect our beloved leader? Now, the truth of electoral politics, apparently, or the truth as it has been demonstrated over a number of previous presidential elections, is this: Trump needs to win Wisconsin in order to win re-election. But I've heard that about Ohio. I've heard that about Florida. I've heard that about Pennsylvania. Haven't you? Anyway, the campaign plan to hold these massive rallies, these Nuremberg-style events, no matter what, took shape as a major new study by the researchers at Cornell University. And I saw this on CNN this morning. Maybe you saw it too. The woman who ran the research at Cornell. It proves, or it shows, that Trump is the world's largest source of misinformation about COVID-19, and a companion study, not by the same organization, but a companion study shows that he is the primary cause of the spread of this virus in the United States. But on the global scale, Trump is the world's largest source of lies. The President of the United States, where it concerns COVID-19. Now, the findings of the study, the orange ape will call it fake news, but screw him. It was based on a comprehensive survey of 38 million articles from traditional media and online media. 38 million articles. Now, it's true that incidence of coronavirus transmission in open-air environments has not been as documented as thoroughly as the spreading of this virus in indoor settings. But even so, Wisconsin's governor, Tony Evers, who of course is a Democrat, suggested it was reckless for the orange ape to draw thousands of people together in an obvious red zone for transmission of this virus. Governor Evers said, quote, "The president could do two things. One is maybe not come to these two municipalities, La Crosse and Green Bay, and cities that are ranked right up towards the top of all the places in the country for infections," end quote. Quote, "The second thing that could be done is for him to insist that if people were there, they wear a mask. He can make that happen. He could wear one too. Those are the two things that he could do to make sure that it doesn't become a super spreader event," end quote. But you know what? Tony Evers is a Democrat, and if he were a Republican governor would not have had the temerity to even make such a suggestion. But because Tony Evers is a Democrat, what do you think Trump and the filthy pool of pigs that advise him are going to tell him regarding Evers' recommendation? They're going to say the equivalent of, "Oh, F him, forget him, dear leader. The people love you." New daily infections, according to research from CDC and from the New York Times, because God knows all of a sudden what? We can't trust the CDC. Jesus, God. New infections have risen in the past week in 25 states. Half the states, infections are rising. And that's according to further analysis by Axios that was published today, with about 43,000 new cases a day. on about 935,000 daily tests in the United States. 43 new. All right, come on, Mike. Stop for a moment. Okay. Deep breath. Exhale. Try again. 43,000 new cases a day as a result of 935,000 daily tests in the U.S. in the past week. Hey, that was pretty good. And the city of Boston hit the brakes on reopening yesterday after the state public health department there said that Boston could be a so-called red zone for active circulation of the virus. Infection rates were above 7% in some neighborhoods. Now remember, the objective is to get it below 5%, and the real objective is to get it below 1%, the infection rate of the people who are tested. If 1 out of 100 people test positive and 99 out of 100 test negative for this virus, it means we will have it on the run, at least until a vaccine can be developed. But we're nowhere near that. And we won't get there until there's leadership, until there are mandates. Now, if the dumb son of a bitches like the little fat boys in the Proud Boys and these other racist white supremacist groups, if they don't want to wear masks, I say yes. Absolutely. Only stay in your own little enclaves, you dumb beer-drinking, beer-gutted bastards. Stay in your own groups and breathe on each other, please. And don't wear masks. And don't wash your hands. And don't stay 6 feet apart. Bump your big fat bellies up against each other. Hug each other. And I know a lot of you want to kiss each other too. Do that. Do that. So we can be shed of you, as we say here in the South. Hey, Truth Seekers, Mike Malloy here. While you're sheltering in place and practicing safe social behavior, probably catching up on the Malloy cast, remember, we have a new weekly program just for our patron supporters. There are other thank you gifts for your support. Remember, visit MikeMalloy.com and click on the big patron link on the main page. You can't miss it, and we can't do without you.